the Soul Engineer back again with another podcast, with another episode. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you're old here, welcome back. Welcome to the fourth episode. I'm here with my friend Masimba, and we're here to engineer some thoughts and to get this show on the road.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that we are on our fourth episode, which is kind of a sign of consistency, I guess, to some extent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm low-key proud.
I am low-key proud of myself. Like, I think I consider myself, like, if I was to rate myself, I'd say I'm the best procrastinator I've ever known. So,
world record holder and all that.
Yeah, even if it's not procrastination, matters of consistency, I rank low on the consistency table.
Is
But
it?
yeah, a lot of my things I end up with a schedule.
But then I can relate. I can relate. Like, it's sometimes there are just certain days when you're like,
it's not it, mate.
Yeah, it's just not it. You don't feel like actually starting your day or completing any certain tasks.
So it's usually on Sundays.
And it's usually on a weekend where you're all relaxed and you don't really feel like being productive. But I guess this whole podcast thing is a step in the right direction.
People are actually watching. Thank you for those that have been watching and sharing our content, those that found it engaging, and people who actually caught something inspiring out of it.
Yeah, or something helpful, something that actually changed the way you do things or the way you look at things. So yeah, you guys are all appreciated.
I've been receiving a request to include some Russian subtitles from my friends this side. So there are people who actually want to watch
and want to hear what is going on. That's actually really cool, eh?
Very.
Yeah, you should standardize those subtitles so that some of us also learn Russian by subtitles. So that I can impress my friends and give them the impression that I have a certain amount of knowledge on Ruski.
I guess so. So yeah, let's start. What do we have today?
Today you requested that we speak about mental health and living abroad as a student specifically, and how it has affected us in our lives and people around us, the people we care about, and all these different things. And I think it's something that we can delve into, and something that a lot of the people watching might be able to relate to, even though you might not be studying abroad. But there are certain things that maybe you can take into account that have happened in your life, and certain things that have happened that have given you a different perspective on life, and they've taken you to the next stage.
Definitely. So let me start with you.
Yeah.
What do you think the mental state of kids in university is right now? Let me not say right now, but like in general. Let's try and omit COVID because of it's an anomaly, but let's just say current times.
In general. Of course, there have been like factors added with COVID, the added stress.
Yeah, we'll talk about
doing
COVID
the whole
later.
thing online. But then looking at it from a general point of view, of course, there's always going to be those first few weeks where you get into campus, especially if you traveled alone and you don't have any friends that you moved in with. For me personally, I was lucky that I came to UCT with my older sister. She decided to actually take a leave for like a week so that she could be with me during the whole orientation thing and stuff. So yeah, shout out to her. It was a better experience because of that.
Shout out.
But you see that a lot of the times you be alone, you know, in a whole new different place, different culture, different setting, and then you kind of have this pressure
Yeah.
to try and adjust, but then it's not always really easy because you know
It's not even.
it's a different culture. They're completely different people. Some of these guys, they probably came as friends from high school. They already know each other. But since like you're studying abroad, you're probably alone, and it's kind of
Yeah.
difficult to assimilate and to get yourself into those friendship groups or
To a
to
new
meet new
culture.
people. Oh, yeah, and
Yeah.
despite even if the culture might be similar to the one you have back home, sometimes just meeting new people, sometimes it can be quite a traumatizing experience because you know you might not
Yeah.
be an
Yeah.
extrovert, you might not be a people's person,
Mm-hmm.
a person who easily communicates with people, a person who can easily strike up
Yeah.
a conversation. So you know sometimes
I
that can
think.
really mess with you.
Yeah. I think also sometimes, even if you are a people's person, even if you are an extrovert,
Hmm.
sometimes those people are not your people, just
Yeah,
generally. And gel with them. You find it hard to go in to kind of understand their way of life. You find it hard to do what they do.
hmm
It's just it's just
yeah,
it's just
because
in a few
it's
sentences.
like people who might have like completely different backgrounds compared to yours, so maybe
Mm-hmm.
you don't necessarily you know laugh at the same jokes, you don't really enjoy
Yeah.
similar conversations, so it can be really hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can be really hard. I think I read somewhere where they said like on average 70%, 70 to 78% of all students who have gone through the first year have suffered from at least mild depression, you know, because of the whole trying to
Yeah,
assimilate
man.
into a culture. Because a university campus on its own, it's like a world, a different world in itself, you get. And then you're just kind of thrown in there most of the times. And then you kind of have to find your own feet and you have to try and find your place. Like already it's tough finding your place in an area where you're familiar with people, you're familiar with the
Yeah.
environment and culture. Now imagine you're in a whole new place. Um, you're getting into a different type of stage in your life. You're trying to assimilate to how they're going to be teaching you. And then you're also trying to make
Mm-hmm.
friends and you're trying to strike a balance where you can get everything working in the right way. So, you know, it can really be a
Let's
lot
say in the right way.
and
Yeah.
it can be strenuous
Yeah.
mentally.
Because I think mental health of kids at in university, just in general, COVID aside, it's
Mm,
the pits, dog. Some kids don't even go to university for the reasons people should be going to university.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's a rite of passage. I just have to get. Oh, I'm
Get
gonna
there
do
and
it.
get a
I
job
just
and try
have
and
to
make
do it.
something out of myself.
And move up and make something out of myself. And kids end up falling into this pressure of um there are those kids who fall into this pressure of, I don't care how I'm going to do it, I just have to do it. So they'll literally do anything it takes, meaning anything, like
Yeah.
including, bribing teachers, or, you know, these university stories you hear around,
This guy,
kids using lecturers
yeah, all these
and all
different
of
stories you
that,
hear.
all these different stories. Sometimes it comes out of a need of a kid who, it just comes from a kid who feels the need to do anything it
In
takes.
order
And then we
to move
also have
forward.
these, yeah, and then we also have these kids that sort of like crumble under the pressure of modern society, that who succeed at a very young age.
Yeah.
You hear of all these success stories of the Bill Gates, of the Mark Zuckerbergs, who dropped out of college at such and such an age, or um, you even, it's not even, sometimes it's even someone you know, like a friend or a cousin or someone
Yeah.
who's, even if they're still in university, they're sort of like doing something on the side, that's
On the
getting them
side,
like,
and they're actually,
yeah,
making real money.
so like influencers. I think currently, as far as Africa is concerned,
Mm.
and maybe Botswana and South Africa, most web influencers, most online influencers, a good proportion of them are kids my age and slightly above, slightly below. So basically, like 17 to maybe 25.
Yeah,
That's
that's
where the
where
large
most of
proportion
these
of these,
influencers are.
yeah. Yeah, and you feel this pressure to, yeah, maybe I should do something. Maybe I should start a maybe I should start an Instagram page doing this. I want to be Insta famous. Sure, it's not tied up to university life, but at this age, as a university student, you feel that constant need to be like that.
Yeah, to be like that, because it seems like everybody else is doing something extra. So you feel like if you're not,
Mm-hmm.
doing something along those lines, then you're falling behind.
Yeah, yeah, falling behind. And I also, the other thing is, there are those kids who are scared of the future.
Mm.
Um, they the degree they picked will be sustainable for them in the future. They don't know, this world nowadays, it's so fast,
And
it's
things change
so
so quickly.
spontaneous, such that, yeah, back then, 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you knew that if you get a degree in engineering, you're going to be an engineer for sure.
For sure, you're
If you
set.
get a degree in
And you're gonna get
finance,
a good job with
you're going
benefits
to,
and so many different things.
yeah, yeah, even if your first job is not the best job, you're gonna
End up there nonetheless,
have
because
kids.
you have that
Yeah,
you have that certificate or that degree.
yeah. A lot of kids today are under this pressure. They don't know what's gonna happen after they graduate. They don't know who's gonna hire them.
Yeah.
The market is congested. I've heard of people with engineering degrees, like mining engineers, chemical engineers, sitting at home because there are no jobs, man.
Yeah, like absolutely no jobs. Like
Yeah.
there's and there's some people which I actually know who are sitting with full degrees, some even with master's degrees, but they're sitting at home, and they have to kind of find something on the side to do to keep life moving. And then
Yeah.
even on top of
So,
that, as these thoughts are rolling through a young person's head,
mhm.
there's this tendency of us keeping these things to ourselves. You get, when your
Yeah.
parent calls you, "How are you doing, my son? How are you doing, my daughter?"
I'm
Then you're
okay,
like, "No,
mom.
I'm okay, mom. Everything is good." So then that
Mhm.
means you just keep everything to yourself, because you have this fear of, what are they going to think if they actually know that I'm not fine, if they actually know that, things are kind of falling apart for me.
Yeah.
You get, and then so that means all
Yeah.
these things are keeping to yourself, and then also maybe within that time you haven't managed to make certain friends, or maybe it's in a
Mhm.
foreign country where they don't speak English, so there's a language
Yeah.
barrier. So you really don't have a person to talk to about these things. You
Mhm.
really don't have a person to vent to, and
Yeah.
that can become a factor in which you end up in really dark places in your mind.
Yeah. I think now that you mention it, yeah, that now ties down with like the second part of our podcast, the second topic we're talking about, which is studying abroad, or just basically life away from home,
Mm.
life outside your own home country. I can take an example with just the life I've seen this side, man. You know, is new country, new language, new everything, man. New weather. And within the first 3 months, if all of this is happening too fast for you, you're gonna feel like your internal mind is just
Like
collapsing.
the world is just
What you
crumbling
knew
around
or
you.
what once made sense to you, or that world that once sort of like made sense, even if it's not complete sense, it now starts to fade away, and you have to
Yeah.
do away with those uh, habits, traits, mentalities that you had back home, because they just don't apply here. They just
Mm.
don't apply here.
For
And
example, just
sometimes
give one example of certain things which you found that you had at home, certain traits which don't apply now that you're living in Russia.
I think one I can mention is um which one can I mention? I'd say okay, I'll give a simple one. It doesn't affect my life as a whole, but just me
One of
waking up when
those,
the
yeah.
yeah, me waking up according to how the sun rises, like when the sun rises.
Yeah, that's risky.
Yeah, you see, this side it just doesn't work, man. Because the sun, um, in the summer, the sun rises at like 8 a.m. Sunrise 4 a.m. And then in the
Wait,
winter,
what?
it's the sun. Yeah.
Wait, the sun rises at 8.
No, no, no.
It,
The sun rises at like 4,
or 4 in the
4
morning. Wow.
a.m. Yeah, around 4. Like on a really hot summer day, it can rise around 3:30, like
Yeah.
somewhere there. And in the winter, it can rise around 8, 9 a.m. So
Mm-hmm.
it just throws you off your body clock, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't rise at the same time throughout the year, but like there's a smaller range.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
I guess it
in the
has to
winter
do
it
with the
rises around.
climate, anyways.
Yeah, it's climate and positioning of the country. So it can throw you off your body clock.
Mm.
And sometimes just you're still trying to look for like someone to talk to, or like really someone to sort of like confide in through basically everything inside, and you just can't because language, or sometimes like you mentioned, you need professional help in
Mm.
terms of like maybe you want to see a counselor, a psychologist. Sure, your friends can help you, but they can only go so far when it comes to mental
Yeah,
things involving mental health.
exactly.
And um what else can I say? I think that's where kids now start to suffer, where they can't when there are there's literally no one around you who can give you the type of help.
Or advice or whatever it may be. Because
Yeah.
sometimes, even if you do have like friends, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because of the language barrier, you're not able to actually express yourself effectively
The way you'd want to.
in
Yeah.
the way you'd want to, you get. So
Mm-hmm.
also, like I was saying, you might have this pressure you get. Maybe your parents have really high hopes for you, or your family members at home.
Yeah.
You know, you're so scared that telling them that things are falling apart would really have a negative impact on them, because they have these expectations
A
for you.
very bad one.
They have sacrificed so much to get
Mm-hmm.
you into the position that you're in. So many
Yeah.
of these factors, you know, count. And then on top of that, sometimes it seems like we kind of confuse depression for laziness. When
Mm-hmm.
you see somebody who just wants to lie in bed all day, someone who doesn't want to go outside, are like, this person is lazy. What's wrong with you? Just wake up and start doing stuff. You get. And sometimes it's all these different factors, all these different
Mm-hmm.
pressures
Yeah.
that can leave you with a feeling of hopelessness. You get, of what can I actually
Yeah.
do when so many things are not going my way.
When things are
So
just going south.
Yeah, when things are just going south, like, and not just one thing, you get so many different things,
Many
like,
things.
and so many different factors, because depression doesn't just amount to one situation or one scenario. It's usually a culmination of different
Yeah.
situations. And then so the people outside will,
Yeah.
label you as lazy, and it really doesn't help.
Mhm.
And it seems like we, especially in our African culture, it's a mistake that we tend to make towards young people,
Yeah.
just labeling them as lazy,
Mhm.
as somebody who should just wake up and
Do
they should
something.
figure their life out, essentially, when it
Yeah. I
actually
think
needs
that's
to.
another thing. Pressure, figure out everything by the time you're like 20, 21.
Yeah, get your life together.
Get your life together. And I just did I think I once did like a research, or like just looking back through the generations of life. I'm like, no one in the history of life had their life totally figured out by the time they were 21. Or like, as compared to today, people expect you to know what kind of dream job you want, what kind of dream house you want.
Where are you going
Basically,
to
like
be in the next
everything.
5 or 10 years?
Where you're going to be. I mean, it's so much pressure. It's too much, man. And we forget, we basically, young adults are not given that opportunity to be just that, young adults. They graduate from this teenage phase, and immediately they're expected to have life.
You're thrown into the deep end, essentially.
To 100. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's some of the that's one of the problems we have, where
So tell me,
we don't have that transition.
how was, yeah?
Where we don't have that transition from
Mm-hmm.
high school, you get, and kind of being clueless of what the real world is
Yeah.
like, and actually getting into
What is it about?
university and trying to figure yourself out, not just career wise, but as an individual, as a human being. You get, even though there are career guidance
Hey.
fairs and all these different things, but then they're still quite behind when
Mm-hmm.
it actually comes to the transition, because it seems like this career fair thing is
Ah,
just a 1 week
bro.
long thing where
Let
they
me.
tell you this is what a
Mhm.
doctor does, and these are the marks, the grades you need, and
It's
that's
not
kind
even that. It's not even that. I went to a career fair last year.
of.
Last year, lady's a friend of mine. I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. Since you're going, let me go with you.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I was shocked when I got there. Like, you'd expect people to tell you, this is what careers are about and all that.
Yeah.
It's just the whole university expo, bro. University just advertising
Advertising
themselves
themselves, yeah.
and pride, courses and best courses, and why you should do this course, why this course.
Would work perfectly for
I'm
you.
like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I also remember, I think I also went for
I'm like, yeah.
a career fair. Was it last year or the year before? I went with Kutlo. The time when Kutlo came to Maui.
Yeah, the one in Maui.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
went
I
to
went
one
to
of
the
them.
one in Frankfurt.
Yeah, with that one it was slightly better because it wasn't just universities. There were certain
Mm-hmm.
people who were kind of telling us certain careers that have not kind of been publicized, which are essential, which was pretty good. But then I feel like there should be some sort of it should be something way more than a week long
Yeah,
kind of presentation, or
yeah.
with
It's
with
not
the
a
career
week
fairs we
long
have in
thing.
bots, it's like just a few days and that's it. You get, it should be
Yeah, that's
something that should
true.
go over an extended period of time so that you kind of get a feel, you get, of what actually happens and what actually goes on, so that You
I
have a
think it
better
should
idea of
be a
what to get
department.
into and trying to find
Mhm.
out whether it suits your lifestyle and it suits where you want to be in the future.
I think career guidance is something every school should teach. And career guidance, I'm not talking about careers like medicine and law and engineering, but I mean like helping kids nurture themselves to be the best versions of themselves based on
Yeah,
the abilities they display.
yeah, with the abilities they portray. Because sometimes, they tend to generalize of, okay, you're good at maths, seems like you're good at biology, you're good at maths, physics, biology,
Yeah,
let's make you a doctor. That's probably the right career for you. You're good at maths and physics, let's make you an engineer. Which engineering should I do? Just choose the one, with the most jobs and most money. Go for that one. You get. And
man,
that's it. You're just being led, and and it's just the blind leading,
man,
essentially.
money, money, money.
Yeah, you're about to ask me a question. I just remembered you're about to ask me a question. Then,
Oh yeah, I
yeah.
wanted to ask you. Well, now that we're done with our first year of university, both of us, and you've already sucked.
I'm
Wait,
not
have you
done. I'm in
started?
my
No,
I'm in
you're
my
not
I'm in
done.
my second semester now of
You're
my
in your second semester. Okay,
yeah.
give me your first semester experience. Just summarize how your basically your first experience of uni is.
Ooh. Okay. Where can I
How
start?
would you like summarize 2 minutes or less?
Okay, in like 2 minutes, yeah, because otherwise we'll sleep here. Because I have
Yeah.
stories and stories. Essentially, I think, of course, a lot of it was the whole online thing of me being kind of separated away from my family and kind of
Mm-hmm.
having to do all my schoolwork and all my projects in one room
Mm-hmm.
and trying not to be lazy or not to essentially give up because it's not really a conducive environment. But then I can say
Yeah.
the first 2 months, 2.5 months when we were on campus, it was pretty nice, man. I mean, UCT is a beautiful place. If you're thinking about coming to UCT, it's a great idea because, yeah, it's a beautiful place,
Hey.
scenic views. We even had an orientation week for international students where they gave us a tour of Cape Town and they took us to this small town called oh, I forgot the name, never mind. But it's a beautiful, yeah. All I remember is that it had like European architecture, which really intrigued me.
I think I know it. I just don't know the name. When at the time I traveled to Cape Town, we went through
Mm.
some towns outside Cape Town, beautiful towns outside Cape Town.
Wait, let me try and Google it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, while I'm Googling it, let me just kind of narrate how it was in general. So yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Okay,
It's
okay.
scenic. Even though, of course, there was an initial shock you get from how much work we're actually going to be getting, and
Yeah.
then on top of that, trying to, get used to living in a different area, getting used to living off campus because I live off campus. So I kind of had to set my timetable in a way that I can get to my lectures on time. And also so that after I'm done, I
Mm.
don't like move around or walk around at dangerous times during the day. So,
Oh
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
about finding that balance was a work in progress. And then of course all of a sudden we had this whole lockdown thing and it kind of threw
Covivi.
spanner in the works. But then I guess it was quite interesting. I think I grew and I started thinking about things more and thinking about my future,
Yeah,
all these different things. I feel like all of us
yeah.
have been like that because we've had a lot of time to think and we haven't had as much distractions as we have usually in our normal lives because of this whole having to stay
In our
indoors.
normal lives. That's true. I think for me, I've basically experienced the same stuff you've experienced, but I think what I could add on was I think there was a phase of anxiety when I first came. Just the anxiety of being in a new place, the anxiety of wondering if you made the right choice of leaving home. That's one thing that we overlook when we come abroad. They think, once you come abroad, everything will be fine when you come back. But like I don't know if it's just me, but I thought of it. I'm like, what if I'm leaving the best schools or maybe the best life at home and coming here to the pits of the pits, the gates of hell?
Yeah, because
Gehenna in the flesh.
all the things, some of these things
Yeah.
which they tell us, they're just ideas of what the place is like from an outsider's perspective,
Yeah.
and it might not be
And
real.
they don't tell you, Mhm. What we're not told is that university kids decide, outside home, they think about a lot of things. They think about being away from home. What would happen if something happens and you're not home? What would happen to you
Yeah, since
and
you're
you're
so
not
far away from
home?
home, when something happens to you, what actually
Yeah.
happens?
Yeah. Some of us have never been sick away from family. I have, but I mean, like, just people in general. Some people haven't been to the hospital alone ever in their lives, and
And then it happens. The
as
one time
on
it
top of the
happens when
sickness,
you're not at
it
home.
can also spark, and it can spark like uh, a mental side effect on top of the already problem you have.
Yeah, because sometimes you already have initial issues with yourself, and then the stress you get from moving, because human beings in general, we're about that comfort life you get. So moving out of a certain area is kind of like moving
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone. So of course it's going to kind of mess with you in a way. So I would understand where anxiety would come into place, and some people, unfortunately, might end up having panic attacks, and so many of these issues that come hand in hand with mental health, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, really. But then I feel like we shouldn't underestimate the power of getting professional help and of speaking to an actual
Oh.
psychologist or an actual therapist, because as much as we think, I can just speak to my friends or my family members, why do I really need a psychologist? Sometimes even with, it is good, of course, to be open and transparent with your family and friends. That's very important. It's essential when it comes to
Really?
being a person, because we're social beings. But then we should also go and seek professional help, because these people went to school to study the mind, how it works, and
And how it
how
works and how they can help other people.
they can help other people, you get. So we shouldn't
Definitely.
underestimate the power of getting professional help, because it can really work wonders for you. Something that you might have been struggling with for years. It's something that you might be able to address in a few months with professional help. But then if you don't address it with professional help,
Yeah.
it's something that might stick with you for the rest of your life, and might affect
Yeah.
the people around you, unfortunately.
Very much. Very, very, very. Nah. But I wanted to ask something as well. Like, since we're touching the topic of leaving, this is the first time I experienced it, but like, I wanted to ask you, this isn't the first time you've lived outside your home country, because you live in Botswana, right?
Yeah, I lived
So
in Botswana, yeah. But then
yeah,
it's kind of not my home country in a way because I'm not a citizen.
yeah, it's home, but yeah, you see, but
It's
like
like home number 2.
mm, how would you describe that feeling, that life in Bots, like as a foreigner, as a student, and just being home, being away from home, but living in Bots?
Oh, that's interesting. Actually, my mom and I think my sister at the time, because my dad at that point in time when we moved to Botswana, he was in South Africa. So
Mm-hmm.
at the time when we moved, I was low-key excited. I was like, new place, new school, get to meet
Yeah,
new people. Is it a nice school? Is it fancy? It's Botswana. Because at the time, this was at a time when things started kind of getting hard in Zimbabwe. I think this was in 2009. Is it? Yeah, in 2009. That's when we moved to Botswana. So we were like, moving to a better place, a place where we would be comfortable when it comes to lifestyle and all that. Kind of exciting.
mm-hmm.
And I got, fortunately, I got into a really nice school, nice people overall,
Mm-hmm.
and it was I was quite welcomed because it was an international school as well. People
Oh
from
yeah,
different parts of the world, different cultures, and
yeah.
I kind of felt at home because I feel like maybe if I had gone to a school where maybe the 90% plus people were Botswana, then
Yeah.
maybe I might not have assimilated as well as I
Yeah.
did, especially
Yeah.
at that age. There might have been a point maybe where I would have felt alienated because I'm the only foreign guy maybe in the class or something like that. But when I moved, it was good in the fact that there were so many of us from so many different parts of the world. So it was way easier to kind of get in with the school culture and all that. So I always
Mm-hmm.
liked those respects.
So basically, like, um, you've never felt alienated in any kind of way when you were still new.
No, not really. Like I said, because like there were so many kids from so many different places.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially the
Yeah,
majority of people were foreigners you get.
you were foreigners.
So
You
it
know,
was easy to assimilate because we had that in common. You get because it was an international school. Then of course we
Yeah.
moved a year later in 2010, then we moved to Aum.
Oh yeah,
And I
to
started
Maui.
going to Delta Waters where of course it was um, now a higher percentage of Botswana and stuff. But then also I'm kind of lucky because I kind of arrived there at a young age. I was in standard 5 and I had already been used to like the Bots culture because it's not like even though I was at an international school, it's not like I didn't have any encounters with local people. So I'm guessing it was kind of
Oh yeah,
more
yeah,
comfortable in that, and it was easier for me to find friends
yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
And even
Ah,
through
man.
high school, since I was at that school for a really long time, it wasn't really, I didn't really face any
Yeah,
difficulties
you
and I
basically
didn't feel
spent all your
isolated.
time there.
But I was a Delta veteran because I was there from like standard 5 till form 5. You get, then I came to JMS for the,
Yay!
so
Like,
I spent like 7 years at Delta Waters, if my calculations are correct, from standard 5 to form 5. 7 years in one
I
school.
think the only school I've spent the whole duration of, like, the whole duration the school offers is
Yeah,
high school in Eastern Gate, and which is just 4 years.
yeah.
Other than that, no school knows me as a veteran.
As a veteran, bruh,
Like
I
standard
was a
one,
day one.
yeah,
I think there was a certain point in
standard
time.
one, I was in one school.
There
Yeah.
was a point in time when it was just me and this other girl who had been at Delta since primary school. You get. So yeah,
Yay!
we were boss like that.
That's SMS from reception. Big up to those guys, man.
Yo, nah, I don't think I'd be able to manage that too much.
I think when we were finishing Form 6,
Mm-hmm.
there was like, how many people from there since reception? 2 or 3, 3 or 4.
Sir, wait, is Nigel one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean in our class.
Oh, wait, who?
I think at Shire.
Preschool.
At Shire, Tonima, maybe Chat. Redwan. Yeah, around those 4 or 5 people.
Wow, bro. But then I feel like it's not as bad as it sounds, because like also there's a lot of circulations of people transferring and new people coming in. You get essentially it's kind of almost like you're not in the same school.
But mate, no, you feel it. Tell me you don't feel it. Tell me you feel it.
I didn't really.
I felt the 4 years I felt.
But then the school, the thing is, Delta was late, you get, so I didn't really mind.
Yeah, you see, the 4 years I spent in Eastern Gate. By the time I was in the 4th year, I was like, yeah, no,
it's time to go.
It's enough. Yeah, no, gents, it's enough. Let's ramp up this party.
TV meme.
Bruh, I felt like I knew every corner, even corners I shouldn't know.
Yeah,
I'm like, how about these guys who've been in like one school since basically reception? They did reception there. They wrote AS in that school, upper 6 in that school.
Everything.
Gents.
You know that you're an OG when you now know the school secrets.
Dude, you've sat in the same hall for all examinations.
Hey, you know all the gossip, you know everything. You're like, I think it's time to move on when it's like that. But I feel like one thing which is tough of being an expatriate, especially, I can't speak for other countries, but like being from Zim, you know, what's wrong? Those gunshots, are you okay?
Fireworks, dog. Like,
fireworks.
Day is it today? These people celebrate things every day, dog.
They're celebrating the Champions League final, my G. Before it even starts. And listen to me exposing what day it is. Exposing you. Because if this comes out really late, they will know, this guy took forever. This guy took forever to upload. But as I was saying, one thing which is difficult about
I'll have to upload it tomorrow.
Yeah, what?
I'll have to upload it tomorrow.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah.
One thing about
one thing which is difficult about being an expatriate in a certain country, and I can't speak for like other countries, but since me coming from Zim, you get where it's really tough, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like even at this point in time, especially with the recent killings that have been happening, people being tortured, and so many of these heinous crimes being committed upon people. Like it really opens your eyes and it puts so much pressure, because right now, if I get an FD, you get at UCT, then it wraps. My permit is done. I have no reason to be in South Africa. And remember, I can't use my permit to live in Bots anymore. So I have to go straight back to Zim. Hey guys, you see what this guy is doing to me? He's just ghosting me. Just moving out, nonchalantly. And this is the emotional abuse.
Dude, there are fireworks everywhere. No, like, okay, this will be our ad break.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're back after a series of fireworks.
Yeah, Hex of living in Russia.
Today is a Russian holiday. Today is a Russian holiday. It's not a Russian holiday, it's a state holiday. So I didn't know about it, but now I just found out about it. So it was cool, man. It was cool seeing people watch fireworks.
Shame on you. Don't even know public holidays, Morashid.
Hey, Baba, it's not on the
Tisk, tisk.
calendar. And usually my teacher sends me messages like, today this is happening, stuff like that, on the school group.
You know who your university is interactive when you're speaking to your lecturers. No, now on our campuses, these guys are celebrities. You have to beg for their time. They have appointment hours. And then here you guys are busy exchanging messages.
No, I understand at school, like when I start first year, it's going to be the case. Like there are some lecturers who are going to behave like that.
Yeah, so they're baby
Like
feeding you right
celebrity.
now. They're spoon feeding you.
Yeah, no, but like we call it part factors. It stands for preparatory faculty. I basically
Oh,
were
so essentially
being
it's for a foundation year, something like that.
foundation year. To me, it was like A levels, but with Google Translate.
With Google Translate. This side but then I can kind of relate. Even this side, it was like A levels, but with 5 subjects and extra topics. Everything condensed into a semester. So it was mad.
So that's
Anyways,
how
what was I talking about? Well, I was talking about for being a Zim guy alone, like in the diaspora, it's hard. You get, because you have this pressure of right now. If not even if you get an FD, if something happens to your parents, you get,
it's over.
it's over. Like if something happens right now, back to Zim, you get. So it's really rough. Now imagine it's rough for us guys in the diaspora. Now imagine for guys who are actually in Zim. Because for a lot of them, the major universities, they haven't opened since the whole lockdown thing started. And for some people, they will have to restart this year.
Yeah.
The beginning, amongst all the killings which are happening and the fear for your life, there's that you have to worry
Yes,
about. So it's a rough time. So guys, just pray for them, guys. Like it's a difficult time right now. So yeah. Anyways, so along the lines of mental health, how has like being alone and solitude and kind of being away physically from your loved ones, especially during such a random time where crazy things are happening all over the world, how has it been for you?
I didn't expect it to turn out like this, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Because of like coronavirus and all. But I think also, even aside from coronavirus, I didn't expect it to turn out like this.
Yeah.
It's different, man. From one thing I'm very thankful for is the generation of technology I'm living in today. I don't need to struggle to talk to my mom. I don't need to struggle to talk to my brother and sister and my dad.
Yeah.
Or anyone, in fact, I want to talk to. So
kind of reminds me of the play we did, the United Kingdom.
Oh
like
yeah.
How was it being Seretse?
Exactly.
At that point in time where
that
you have to write letters which take months to arrive and months for you to actually get a response. That's if it arrives.
Or if you want to send like a very urgent message, you'd have to use like a telegram, which was like super, super expensive.
Expensive, yeah.
Yeah, you pay per letter or something like that. Like per letter of the alphabet. So
not even per word, per letter. Wow.
That's the solitude life when it started. it starts off strange, it starts off weird, it starts off, you feel like, yeah, adulting and life outside, life outside, just life away from home.
Mm.
You feel like, yeah, the days you feel like you're making good steps into progressing as a person. The days you feel like, hey, brother, nothing is working out. It's just the pits.
Yeah, and also on that, it's also catalyzed by, the constant intake of all these COVID news and also many
Mm-hmm.
of these bad things that are happening around the world. And it
I
really
stopped
gets you
watching
move
COVID
into a worse
news.
state. You stopped watching COVID news.
I stopped. And
Mm.
now here, the most of the COVID news I hear from like, hey, we found a vaccine. Or, hey, this country is beating COVID. Yeah, that's all I watch. That's all I see on social media. But like me Googling COVID statistics,
It won't do you any
that's not
favors, in
good
all
for you.
honesty.
It won't do you any favors in progressing. And also, what one thing I'm not saying I'm trying to stop, but like, there's a lot of bad news out there, man.
Yeah.
A lot of that. There's this quote by Will Smith where he said, "Racism is not getting worse; it's just getting filmed."
Mm.
And I think that's the case with basically everything bad that's been happening in society. It's not getting worse; it's just getting filmed.
It's just
And
getting
because
filmed. That's true.
most because most of us are now in quarantine and we're home and all of that, there's a lot of time people have at hand and a lot of stories about everything that's happening around the world. And as an individual, there are days you just feel overwhelmed and you feel like, what the hell can I do when all this is happening at once? Like, you heard of Beirut, you heard of this whole pedophilia thing that's been going around.
Mm.
You hear of
I'm
many other
surprised
stuff.
that the whole pedophilia movement, the whole Save Our Children movement, only started now, to be honest.
Yeah,
Or actually, it hasn't started now, but it
it's
seems
been
like
an
something that's
ongoing
just on
thing.
and off. It goes on and off. Like, sometimes
Yeah,
people give it attention and then they kind of ignore it. It seems like
that's
that
how
with
the
a
world
lot of these
works.
movements.
That's how all
Like
these
the
movements
like at
are.
first the Black Lives Matter movement, it seemed like it only lasted for like 2 to 3 weeks and then it
Which it did.
stopped. And then the Zim Lives Matter movement, 2 to 3 weeks,
2 to 3 weeks, and then it
and
stopped.
then now it's completely forgotten. And then now we have this whole thing. Like sometimes you ask yourself, like, how
Unfortunately,
long is it
you
actually
see,
going to last? And are we actually going to get any real
yeah,
solutions?
I ask myself those questions, especially when you live alone. Then you ask yourself, knowing this information or knowing this trend of something going on for 2 to 3 weeks and it stops, what can I, as an individual, do to make some real change,
Mhm.
make a real mark?
I mean, of course, it makes you feel good to post about it
Yo.
and to feel like
Mm-hmm.
you are sharing awareness. It makes you feel good. It makes you look good. And sometimes, of course, you will be having pure intentions behind. But I figured out that most of the time, the best way to go about these things is to actually act. Action is the best way forward because there are so many
Yeah, man.
organizations who are hands on going into these places, South America, the Philippines, Thailand. They're going into so many of these areas to save these children, to get them away from the people enslaving them and trafficking them. You get, just as there are also
Yeah.
organizations when it comes to the Zim Lives Matter movement who are trying to, get help and get petitions to send to international organizations and to the world government, as they are organizations for the Black Lives Matter movement. We can all do something. We can all contribute and make actual tangible support. You get, but then we'll find ourselves quite reluctant to do so. Action is always the best way forward.
This is called. We feel once we've posted on social media, that's it. We've done enough. And yeah, I think that's one thing. Also, as I was thinking about the Zim Lives Matter movement, when I was thinking about this podcast, I was like, I'm all the way here. Let's say it was Botswana Lives Matter. Just a thought. How was I as a guy living in Russia? What was I going to do? What could I have possibly done besides posting on social media? Besides writing endless endless rants on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. What can I do? That's just what I ask myself.
And did you come to a conclusion?
Yeah, I mean, I do come to a conclusion sometimes. like you mentioned, sometimes it's more about, sometimes you just donate to these organizations that are doing the best they can to not only create awareness, but to end what's happening. Just be that voice on social media. You may not know who you'd be reaching out to.
True.
You could reach out to someone who can do something. And yeah, sometimes I'm stuck. Sometimes I'm just stuck. Like, it's tough out here.
It really is rough. Because some of these things, as much as we might do it, we might be doing certain things, even though we might actually, be initiating action. Sometimes it might feel like you're just cutting down the leaves and branches. You're not actually getting to the root of the problem. It's always something difficult, especially when it comes to these global issues.
As well. Yeah, if you notice something is a global issue, that means it's been going on for too long. If the whole world is complaining about something, it means it's been going on for long enough.
Yeah.
Like the whole Black Lives Matter movement. The fact that the whole world is now complaining, it means it's been going on for too. We need to develop a solution that doesn't hack at the leaves. Like, basically, these things of arresting cops, that sort of like these cops that abuse black people, or any sort of racist.
Of course, they do deserve that justice, but then
but
we shouldn't stop there.
We should sort of like look at the root cause of the problem. I think we've talked about Black Lives Matter for like too long, extensively now. So let me try and think about something else for once. Let's just use the current situation we have right now. Pedophilia. I don't know much about it. Like, I don't know the details about it. I just know that it's wrong. Kids, adults should not be sleeping with children.
Listen,
at all.
The thing with pedophilia, from what I've realized, it seems, okay, no, you know what, just carry on. Go get to your conclusion, then I'll expand.
Okay, let me finish up. But I was saying, like, we should, as a people, these pedophiles, they deserve the measure of justice which is appropriate for them. But we should also look back and take a step back and see what the root cause is. Is it the men? Is there something wrong while doing with men? And if so, how should we adjust it? Is there something, you know how, let me think about it this way. When there's a car accident, or basically, when a certain type of brand and make of a car goes into many car accidents, that company calls back those cars.
Yeah.
Let me not even talk about cars. You remember that Samsung incident when the Note 7 was just exploding out of nowhere?
Exploding on people, yeah.
Yeah. Samsung called back the Note 7s. Now, calling back the Note 7s was preventing them from hurting more people. But they didn't just stop there. They looked into the phone itself and did a proper diagnosis and analyzed the situation and fixed it. And they released the Note 8, which became more successful than the previous Note 7, the Note 6. No, there was no 2. And because of that, just those two things, calling it back and analyzing, they were able to make a better product, which we should be doing as human beings, applying it to a humanitarian way. We should serve justice as it is, but we should also be able to analyze the situation and right.
This is the root cause.
What's causing this?
And this is
this is
how we're going to address it.
This is how we're going to address it. Because if we keep on just doing the first thing, calling back, we're going to end up with nothing. We're going to end up, basically, if we keep on, let me put it in a real and actual sense. If we keep on just jailing all these pedophiles, putting them in jail, letting them rot in jail. 1, prisons are going to get full. 2, pedophiles in the first place. And it's just going to be a continuous cycle. Pedophile, jail, pedophile, jail, pedophile. And if this continues, we might eventually even run out of men.
Yeah, because it's something, of course, that's becoming prevalent as time goes on. It's something that even people are trying to normalize. Some people are trying to normalize pedophilia. Which in itself is a vile thought. You get, which is just weird. But for some people, it's an everyday thing. You see, I feel like this whole thing it's rooted, to be honest, in my opinion. Okay, I'm not saying I'm a professional at this, but I think it's all rooted in pornography, man. Do you know why?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that may be another cause.
Not just another cause; it might be the root cause. You get, because
I mean, like,
now
let me say it may.
Yeah, you're saying?
I'm saying it may be one of the root causes, like one of the major root causes.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the major root causes for all these sexual crimes that are being committed, be it rape, be it,
I believe so as well.
So many of these terrible things you get. Because I feel like with pornography, especially, you realize that pornography is exposed to people from such a young age. So your mind is developing, is growing up with pornography. And as you become desensitized to it, the more you watch it, then the more you're going to look for something more that makes you feel a certain way. That's how you're going to end up in these doors of watching rape porn or watching child pornography, looking for it on the dark web, because you're looking for something.
Fresh.
Because, as I said, as we all know, sex is like a drug. And when you get that first hit, it's probably you're going to feel a certain way. You're going to be like, wow, what is this? That's how porn is. So you're always going to be chasing that high, that excitement you get, and then maybe you are no longer going to find that high in the regular porn. You're going to look for something that gives you more of a shock effect. And I feel
Bigger
like
shot. And
yeah, and I feel like that now becomes part of your identity, and that's how people, end up pedophiles. That's how people end up as rapists, as one of the factors,
yeah,
because sex is
right. To
being
ask like,
perfected to such an extent that now it's a free for all. Anything goes, just for me to
oh,
get that feeling that I got the first time I watched porn, of which that feeling will probably never come back again. But you keep on chasing it and
yeah,
keep on looking for it at whatever cost it brings.
at whatever cost. And now that I think more about that, now that you brought that up, porn, in my view, is designed as a, it's designed more for the man, more for the male. Just look at porn in general. Look at all that. Look at where it first started. I'd say it first started with these Playboy magazines and
Yeah, or
anything
maybe
you
even
have
before that. I think actually it probably started way
range.
before, like in the Roman Empire, where
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, right there. But I mean, like, let's just say contemporary stuff.
where you
Porn
can read
and
on
porn
people.
goes way back.
It goes way
I
back.
once read a Wikipedia on it. It goes way back, dog.
You see, of course, originally it was designed, but that doesn't mean it doesn't affect ladies as well, because ladies now,
Yeah.
there's so much pressure on how you look, and now they
And
might
how
be
you
looking
look
at
and how
how,
you.
and already now they might be looking at
I
how can
mean,
I please my guy during sexual intercourse, how can I make things more spicy in the bedroom, and then you start looking at porn,
then they want
and then maybe
tutorials.
and not just tutorials, maybe just watching porn, and then maybe we might not know this, but there might be something also in there for women that might get them hooked. You get,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
because of
But
course
like, just look at, think about
they're going
all
to
the
find ways.
categories, man.
They're going to find ways in which to get as much of an audience as possible. So they're also going to try and attract women. You get. So maybe as time has gone by,
That's true.
there might be certain um, types of pornography which get to hook women. You get, and now it has become so much of a pandemic that it affects the way people think. The way people think has now been
Yeah, man. It shapes how people see relationships, love, sex, money, finances.
even businesses, even how
Basically,
you see other people, be it a relationship, be it a romantic
yeah,
relationship
man.
or not. You get that,
Or even it's a platonic relationship.
yeah, or even a
Corners, yeah.
it has like
Yeah,
it.
I think. hmm
You see,
I
it
think
goes
that's a cause of
it goes into a
pedophilia. Yeah.
bottomless pit. It's like a black hole. You get.
hmm
So that's how
It's a
so
dark
many of
hole,
these
man.
things spiral out of control. That's just my feeling and my
Yeah.
view on all these sexual crimes being. I feel like it's all rooted in porn, in them wanting to attract as much of an audience as possible and to get you to watch as much of it as possible. And what that does is it
To please
desensitizes
yourself.
to please yourself, and now it desensitizes
hmm
to, probably even when you
Yeah.
get married, to desensitize you to regular sex. You get that you would have within your
Yeah.
marriage, and
hmm
probably won't feel the way it was supposed to originally feel, because now it's
Yeah.
just a commodity. You can just go on your phone and access it, easy access. You
And
get, and
just
it probably comes with so much
super
baggage
easy.
that we might not think of
Yeah.
it. So it really gets deep.
Man.
And
You've
yeah,
just given me a new idea for the next podcast.
Yeah, man. Hey, we're out here, man. Fountain.
Okay, I just wrote it down so I don't forget.
But yeah, of course, going back to the main point, we should always try to be more of action people than just speaking about things, tweeting and posting about things. You know, although those things are important because those are that's a way to raise awareness of, you know, some things which might not have been brought to people's attention initially.
Very true.
Of course, distribution is really powerful, but let's not stop there.
Definitely.
Let's also be people of action and people who actually want to see change and people who persevere until they see that change. So yeah.
That's true. Well, yeah, man. I think we've touched much. I don't know if we've touched much. We've touched a bit on a lot. I think we can call it.
We've touched a bit on a lot. Wow.
We can call it a night.
Yeah, I think we touched on important things. And of course, we saved some things for the next episode as well. You know, out here trying to strain and squeeze as much content as we can. Trying to optimize.
Yeah, that's true. Now you're giving me another idea for the next episode after the next one.
Yeah, I don't even know. What did I even say?
No, don't worry.
Oh yeah, by the way, the place is called Simon's Town. The place the place I was talking about, the small town which they took us to. I don't know whether it's the place where you went to.
I should go. It's in Western Cape. It's still in Western Cape.
Yeah. It's still in Western Cape. It's like probably like 30 kilometers or 20 kilometers outside of Cape Town.
Okay, Cape Town. Cape Town, Canada, it has many little small towns outside. Like Agulhas, Cape Agulhas is so far from Cape Town.
Yeah, but it's still considered surrounding areas.
Yeah, it's still considered surrounding areas. Stellenbosch is not.
Stellenbosch, I guess some people consider it around like surrounding areas, but it's far, man. It's like 50, 60 k's.
It's far. It's like part of the Cape Town municipality, but it's not part of Cape Town.
Yeah, it's not part of Cape Town. It's just which place can I? It's like Rekops, or Ramosa.
Rekops and what? And
and Gap. Wait, not Rekops. Not Rekops. Ramosa or Molepolule when it comes to gaps.
I'd say
not even Molepolule.
Muchudi.
Or Muchudi.
Yeah.
Muchudi is actually part of the Gaborone municipality, isn't it?
It's not. It's an independent. Yeah, it's far. That's where I live.
Muchudi I live not in
20.
20. Wait, what's the closest place to Gabs that you can think of, like by the A1?
Mokhoditsan is not part of Gabs. Never mind. Kopo.
No, like from Francistown to Gabs. From Francistown to Gabs, the closest place to Gabs.
Okay, it's not Pax. Pax is part of Gabs. Gino is part of Gabs. Yeah.
Is that the name of the place? OD.
OD. Yes, I was about to say that. OD. OD is right behind Pax.
Yeah,
like right. After Pax.
Hey, can I have a
go like
that one?
OD was where Bust was supposed to be. Like first ideas.
It wasn't supposed to be in Palape.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be in Palape. Then I forgot that happened, and then they're like, let's just move this item to Palape. Palape is just supposed to be a branch.
So OD, the Bust headquarters was actually supposed to be in OD, but that's a strange place.
Yeah.
A major university though.
Thing is, Akire, it was supposed to be like within the periphery of Gabs
Yeah,
because
it's
it's
close.
Gabs.
Like it's
But
really close.
but in Gabs itself, there was no space
Space,
for
yeah.
a sign, a big university like Buse.
Yeah, because OD it looks like
But they
it's just plot hell.
yeah. But I think the space they found was huge. I haven't seen it myself, but I think it was huge.
So speaking of OD, there's this other time I mistook one of the traffic lights by OD as the traffic lights by Parks because I was supposed to stop at Parks. I was coming from Francis. Was it from Francis or from Mount? And then I dropped by OD. Then I was like, then I started walking because I was like, okay, because I was going to G North, you get. Then I started walking and then I was like, no, this place doesn't look familiar at all. This filling station was never close to G North. And I spent like almost 30 minutes going up and down trying to familiarize. Then I saw the sign, it was written OD. I'm like, late. Then I had to take a combi from OD. And I had a suitcase, a big one. So I had to take a combi from OD to Pakalani. Again, that was like an extra $12. Like, sweet. I felt so dumb.
Imagine. Don't worry, man. It happens. It always happened to me as well. Not something, not like that.
Not to that
Like,
extent.
yeah, I once got to know. Not like that. I
But I was like 10
got to
kilometers
know
off.
Nah, when you were off, Baba. Me, it was like 1 or 2.
But it was so similar, though.
It was
Like eerily similar. I think probably like I was daydreaming, then I saw it, then I'm like, oh snap, I'm already at Parks. I didn't anticipate this. Then I told the bus guy to stop, to drop me.
even
Then
here
he
in
dropped me.
Russia.
Huh?
I once got off 2 stops earlier. Hey, man, I was proud of. And it was in winter.
Yay! And it was snowing. Ish.
Dog. And I was new, so I didn't know the way. So
But
luckily, I met this other Russian guy. He's like, no, let's go. I'll show you the way.
shame.
He noticed I got off in the wrong stop because he's like, he just knew Africans don't get off this stop. Yeah, this you are literally
you're not supposed to be here. Because for me, I literally went to the service station. I was like, which way is G North? Then they pointed. You get, because I thought, or maybe I had forgotten because I hadn't like walked for a long time. I hadn't walked by that stop for a long time. Usually when I got to Gabs, I'd get picked from the rank. So I didn't walk by that place for a long time. So I thought maybe I just forgot. Then I was like, and then I asked them, then they're like, that direction. Then I went in that direction. No sign of, because there's usually like a post sign which shows that, okay, G North, you get. Because
they removed that sign, though.
No, there's a sentence. I don't know whether it's Eagles Academy or what. I think it's Eagles Academy.
Oh, that one, yes. But like just hella a sign saying G North.
Oh yeah, there's I think it's Eagles Academy, the sign, because the stop I wanted to make is, do you know the stop right before the Pakalani turn-off stop? There's another.
Yeah, I know the stop.
Yeah, there's another stop which is probably like several hundred meters away. So it looks.
I know that stop.
It looks very similar to the stop in OD.
Because the stop here thing goes to BDF Glen Valley.
Yeah,
I know that stop. Anyways, let's call it a day.
Yeah, please do the outro. I figured that I would have to write something down to actually make a sense of outro. So just do the outro.
Okay. It's been an amazing show. Thank you for tuning in with us. For once, we had a podcast under 2 hours, under 1 hour 50 minutes, maybe even under 1 hour 30 minutes. So, yeah, man, we're getting better at this and trying to condense our content so that you don't complain.
We don't have data.
Don't have, yeah. So yeah,
salty.
Yeah, salty. In those few short words. please subscribe. Don't forget to comment on whatever you enjoyed,
and share.
Share to your friends, share to your family. If you have opposing thoughts, man, be free to oppose. This is a free society. This is a free place.
We'll welcome you because we haven't been getting any
but
comments.
be respectful.
We'll actually be happy.
Yeah, just be respectful.
Like finally feedback.
So feedback, you see. So we'll catch you on the next one. This is me, Masim.
Me, Chinotanda Masimba Togara, and that's been the Soul Engineer. We'll see you guys in a bit, and peace.